Hey guys, welcome back to some World of Warships. Today we're going to be playing the Massachusetts in Ranked. This is actually my rank out game, at least for Bronze Ranked. We're getting through Tier 8, finally going to get up to Tier 9, which is nice, a bit of a sweet spot where we can not really see much of carriers and submarines, that kind of thing. There's still going to be the odd hybrid, that kind of thing, but it is a nice place to be when they offer a Tier 9 Ranked season. As we talked about earlier this week, Ranked can be a little more aggressive, not always, but a little more aggressive than random battles, allowing you for opportunities to push in and not just have those HE fights at longer ranges. That's definitely why I enjoy this game mode, at least recently. However, there's still times where the teams can be a little rough. There's a little more emphasis on winning in ranked battles, of course, than there is in random battles, so you notice your teammates a little bit more often. And in this one, yeah, to rank up and actually rank out here, we're going to have to kill the entire enemy team here. But we'll talk a little more about that a little later. What I do want to mention, though, is there's sometimes games just like this one where you're actually not able to get a lot of battle impact early. Broadside cruisers show up. They just happen to not take too much damage. You take some big hits in return, getting a little greedy for those shots, and then you're forced back a little ways. So decent hit into the hipper, but probably not worth going down to half HP like we are now. Bogami also, unfortunately, we did miss or just had bad dispersion early on. And now we're forced to play a little more passive here, but there are things you can still do in these games, even if you aren't able to get that early battle impact. Like I talk about oftentimes in ranked battles, where I'm looking for opportunities to kill that DD early, to go after those radar cruisers, that kind of thing. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. So what you need to do then is play just a sound game with your teammates. So what do I mean by that? In a Battleship, you want to be looking for crossfire opportunities, right? So our entire team has kind of gone to the C cap, a little bit towards B. I need to be providing a crossfire here now. In a cruiser, you'd be looking for opportunities to support your destroyers when they're pushing into a cap, trying to win those DD engagements, and also get some farming done on some of the battleships as well. Try and force them a little farther back, allowing your squishier ships a little more opportunity to push in and get something done. DDs, of course, you want to be looking for opportunities to spot, contest caps, and go after any potentially low health DDs. That kind of thing is a really good thing to go after. Just very basic sound gameplay advice for each class. And here we're going to do that. We've found ourselves a nice position to get a crossfire. We've got an island close by that's going to prevent most of the enemy team from farming us right now. And a broadside Massachusetts. We should be doing some good damage here. Our Vladivostok is very tanky, but is going down. The enemy team is farming him out pretty well here. And I need to take advantage of this distraction, right? This Massachusetts flat broadside, we should be getting some really nice hits in here. This is how we need to try to close out this game, or at least help our team win it. And we're still really not getting the salvos we want, but that's okay. We're still in a pretty good position as a team, as frustrating as it can be in those moments where RNG says no. We're still doing okay. Our team has very nice control over the C cap, which gives us a massive advantage on this particular map. Something you will notice a lot of the time is maps aren't very symmetrical. And there we go. There's our big hit, finally. Unfortunately, it did mean our Vladivostok went down, but we do trade him out, which is pretty nice. But maps typically aren't the most symmetrical. There's a few, which is kind of nice to see in some of these ranked game modes, but most of them aren't. And the C cap here is particularly powerful if you gain full control over it. It really does just allow some of the light cruisers in general that aren't going to be tanking battleship hits all that well at these tiers. Unfortunately, aim a little high there, or dispersion, something. Miss out on that Mogami yet again. But this C cap allows a lot of really interesting angles you can get in these squishier ships without getting spotted. You can farm over these islands quite easily, and you should be doing some really impactful damage in with them. So even though we're taking a bit of a beating here, Massachusetts already down to potentially our last heal. And there we go. We finally get another good hit in Hipper there. Sees pretty nice damage there from a Citadel. And we're going to try and finish him off here. Although we're taking a lot of hits, a lot of pressure. Get ourselves that final Citadel into this guy. It's always that last little bit of HP where you're guaranteed a Citadel, isn't it? But we do need to maybe move away a little bit here. We're getting a lot of pressure in on us, and we only have that one heal. And we're going to need all the HP we can get for a little bit later on. Mogami does happen to go dark, so we're going to try to take him out here with a bit of a blind shot. He's going to be angled. But with some overmatch and a Citadel, hey, there's some of that RNG coming back to help us. That one is probably a little more lucky, certainly. Personally, I'd rather that one doesn't do that much damage, and the ones where they're flat broadside take a little more damage. If it was up to me, it'd be a little more satisfying that way, but that's okay. We've done 3 kills at this point, 120,000 damage, so we're definitely trying to keep our team in this one. Looking forward to getting out of tier 8 ranked, getting into tier 9. That's at least my thoughts at this point. Hoping this one was going to be my ranked out game. Bismarck, broadside on. We're catching some great broadsides here. Our positioning is excellent, and we just need the guns to follow through for us. Decent damage, but unfortunately, 4 overpens means it could have been a little better. Massachusetts, of course, has that weaknesses with anti-submarine warfare. Not very much range on this one, unfortunately. So we're going to have to be a little mindful of what that sub is going to be doing. You can just see how us sitting here, spotting this Bismarck, potentially the key as well, depending on if he's firing or not. There we go. We finish off the Bismarck. 4 kills now at this point. We have 44,000 spotting damage, so we're doing some decent spotting out here. And that should be allowing our team to farm from relative safety. That's at least the hope, that even though we are 4 ships to 2 here, that some of the lower health guys are able to get in positions where they're not going to be spotted, and they're not risking their ship, and they're actually able to do decent damage. At this point, really, all we need to do is contest and grab the B cap, and we should be clearly able to win this one. The submarine does ping us and get some torpedoes in on us. I was really hoping to cut the angle here to the island, force those torpedoes to run into the island or something like that. Really not sure where they were at. I just know that I can't sit out in the open against a sub for very long. Unfortunately for us, he did manage to get those torps off a little sooner than I thought, and that means we're going to take a pretty massive hit here. No heals left, keep in mind. So now we need to play very, very safe. And these late game scenarios are always quite enjoyable to me, where it really does matter what you do, and that will dictate the outcome of this game. The key is reasonably broadside. Massachusetts, of course, does struggle at range. Its dispersion can be a little wonky at times, and we're certainly experiencing that now. But we do just need to play from cover and be relatively safe, I think. That's something you don't really want to do in a lot of these matches, especially in ranked. You don't want to start chasing damage, anything like that, if you are trying to rank up. This particular salvo, I actually wish I had watched a little closer, because this key turns out broadside to us. 2 overpens there? I don't know. I wish I had actually followed through with that one just to see where it landed. Must have been dispersion, or maybe I just aimed at that one poorly. In the meantime, our Bismarck goes down. Our Mines is a little bit low on HP here as well, and is taken out by the key. So 4v2 now into a 2v2. And we don't have heals left, and we have to deal with an enemy submarine. So what you need to be thinking about, especially in these late game scenarios, is how much time is left and how many caps and points do you have. That's going to be a major factor in how you're going to play the game. Right now, we're ahead on caps, we're ahead on points, and there's plenty of time left. So I'm not going to be very aggressive at all. It's okay to be a little more passive in these scenarios. Still trying to apply pressure here. I'd rather not allow this key to get too many shots in on our Edinburgh here, who's trying to farm in open water for whatever reason. I'd like to help take this key out, and then that should help us at least secure this win. That would be very, very nice. Dispersion says no again. And the Eden gets dev struck. So a 4v2 versus into a 1v2 at this point. So now we got to try and win this one. So even more we need to worry about how we're going to position, where we need to take our ship, how do we need to go after caps, aggressive or passive, what do we need to do? Well, the submarine's definitely in B, so we don't have to worry about him for now. We're going to try and take out this key first and then worry about those points. I'm going to try and stay angled here as much as I can, really just going for those superstructure hits if possible. He's actually going to push into our secondary ranges, which is great. Going to apply a little more pressure, although they won't do too much until they're fully accurate after 45 seconds. But he goes broadside. Should be a dead key, right? That's a pretty nice opportunity for us. That would be lovely. 160,000 damage now, 170, and we don't get him. Yeah, a little frustrating at that point, certainly. But he is low enough that maybe some of these secondaries will take him out, or we'll just get our main guns into him. But crucially, the submarine is finished with capping. There's our Kraken into this ranked game, and we're left in a 1v1 versus a submarine. A very, very unenviable position, I would say. And we got a bit of time here before this game is going to end. What would you be doing in this situation? I've already mentioned it, but let's look at everything we have to go by here. There's 7.5 minutes left on the clock. The enemy team's going to win in 5 minutes if nothing changes. They have 2 caps to our 1. And this enemy sub was last known in the B cap. What would you guys be doing in this situation? I think the initial move is pretty obvious of we just have to get into a cap, right? There's no sense in playing passive here. We have to go for the cap here. That's really what I'm thinking about in this moment. Didn't consider the key torps, by the way. I totally forgot that ship had torps, so fortunate we didn't just randomly run into those and die. But we'll go for the A cap. In my mind, though, what am I thinking about here is all these time factors, but also what's this sub actually wanting to do? If he's smart, he's running to the C cap to cap that, and then there's just pretty much no way I'm really going to win this game. If he does do that, it's probably going to be over at that point. I'm going to be forced into the open, pushing towards the B cap. That'll be a very easy target for him to take out. But he hasn't gone to C yet. So for me, I am still just focused on getting an A as quickly as possible. But in my head, I'm trying to do some mental math here a little bit, thinking about, do I even need to get the B cap if the sub doesn't go to C? It's very, very important to know if we're going to win on 2 caps versus just 1. So thinking about that, I'm starting to understand that maybe this submarine has turned around for us. Maybe he's thinking about catching us here as we push out around this gap. I don't know this, but I am just thinking about that. That's a possibility. Otherwise, what else would he be doing, right? C-cap hasn't been flipped yet. Well, he hasn't even contested it yet. Where could he possibly be? I suppose running off the map, but wouldn't you run away from the Massachusetts in this situation towards the C-cap? I don't know. So I decide to play it safe. I assume that once I get in the A-cap, it's going to stall it for long enough. We still have 5 minutes on the timer. More than enough time for the points to tick up in our favor, assuming I do get this A cap. We're not lit here, very important. I decide not to poke out around this gap, potentially opening myself up to torpedoes if I were to do that. I'm also trying to keep my rear turret pointed towards this gap, just in case the sub surprises me from behind. But no, the sub did wait for me and try to come get me as I was going to push out from this gap. So a pretty decent move here to stay behind this island and not push out. And we do manage to get him. That is 6 kills in a ranked game. I'm not sure if I've done that before. It felt pretty good to actually clutch that one out. And that, of course, was our rank up game. A pretty epic one, I will say. But let me know, what were you guys thinking you would do in the Massachusetts at the end of that one? Would have you pushed out around that gap? It would have been pretty tempting to, but at least in this one, turned out the right play was to wait just a little bit. But with that said, every game will be different, and the decisions you make will have to adapt to the situation that you're in. But I still really enjoy showing you guys these kind of games and talking through the thought process, so you can kind of know what factors I'm considering in a lot of these later game scenarios. And then maybe you can start to think about those when you yourself are caught in that 1v1, 1v2 situation at the end of the game. It's very important to know what to be paying attention to. Sometimes you just don't even know what you should be doing or looking at, paying attention to the time, points, these kinds of things. That is generally what's governing my actions in these later game scenarios. It's really important to know which things to look at. As for the build on the Massachusetts, for ranked specifically, I am doing a very aggressive build. But random battles, you definitely shouldn't be running close quarters combat. Even in ranked, you can see how getting to that 5th heal would have been really nice, would have helped secure that game a little bit easier. But I'm a little greedy for those extra brawling skills. As always, I'm probably a little too focused on pushing in and brawling it out, but that's where I have the most fun, so that's what I'm going to try and do most of all. Upgrades wise, pretty standard I'd say here for Massachusetts. Maybe you'd consider propulsion mod as well if you're playing around islands a lot. Prop mod is very, very nice to have. But as always, I'm looking for 2 out of the 3 upgrades and skills that are going to reduce the fire damage on your ship. So one is here, one is this flag, and then the other one is found on your commander right here. So I try to take 2 out of the 3 on battleships. All 3 can be good, but typically you're going to get a little more value out of your ship if you can take something else in one of those slots. Personally, it typically runs to propulsion mod here. I'll find that speed juking, that kind of thing, quicker acceleration will help me avoid a little more damage than the diminishing returns of going from 2 out of the 3 to 3 out of the 3. That's at least how I tend to view things. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. 6 kills to rank out. Apparently that's what's required sometimes. You got to kill the entire enemy team if you want to win. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day.